All right. Welcome everyone, whether you're a new member to the Prime Spine Consulting Facebook group for more PI patients, or you've been here for a few months, welcome to today's live stream. We're here, or I'm here, at 4 p.m. Eastern every single week, Thursdays, to present a live stream where I'm going to talk about the 3 pillars of personal injury marketing that really move the needle of your business. A couple things here. Okay. So, quick introduction. My name is Mark Slater. I've been a practicing chiropractor since before Y2K. Some of you don't know what Y2K was. It was the year 2000. I graduated at the University of Florida. I went to Life College of Chiropractic, graduated in 98. And I opened up my first practice in Birmingham, Alabama. And I like hiring coaches and mentors. I want to learn from people that have already figured it out. They've already done it. They've already done it successfully. And even better, maybe they're successful at 2 or 3 businesses. Success leaves clues. If people are successful at 2, 3, even 4 businesses, I'm going to follow their advice. So I tend to always hire coaches and mentors because what it does is it shortens the learning curve for me. So I hired this consultant back when I graduated. There were 2 main consultants in the space. David Singer, a lot of you have heard of, maybe you've used him in the past, and Peter Fernandez. Now I'm talking about in the Southeast region. I don't know who the consultants were in the West Coast, but these were the big 2 25 years ago, David Singer and Peter Fernandez. And I got into Peter Fernandez's Practice Starters program. And in the Practice Starters program, this is before the days of the internet, social media. So I had to go around and he wanted me to knock on 3,000 doors of residences and businesses in concentric circles around my new office. Well, in full disclosure, I did it I did 1,000. He knows that, most likely that's why he says do 3,000. So at least you get, high numbers. I mailed them all thank you notes, no email. I had to mail them all thank you notes. And a week before I opened my office, I mailed them a grand opening letter. So before my office was open, I was marketing, and I was marketing daily. It's very important. Massive numbers and consistency. We hammer on that. So I opened up my practice and I had a room full of patients. And I wanted to focus on personal injury. And everyone said, when I say everyone, people from Life College, people that were in Alabama, chiropractors were telling me, oh, you can't do personal injury in Alabama. It's a good old boy network. Everyone already has their established relationships. You're not going to be successful. Well, I turned my ears off to that and I didn't listen to it. I opened up a practice. I was in the black in the first month and I went after personal injury and I created relationships. I created relationships with an attorney. Fast forward 25 years today. He had 1 office with 1 assistant back then. Now he has an organization of hundreds of employees, many partners, and he's got 2,500 billboards all across the Southeast in 11 different states. Okay, but I met him and created a relationship way back. If I was still practicing and still had an active practice, that guy would still be sending me cases because relationships can be evergreen as long as you keep your side of the street clean. So I sold that practice in 2 years. For a nice profit. It's still there in Birmingham, Alabama, in Homewood. It's called Oxmoor Chiropractic. And I bought a PI practice here in Georgia, in Atlanta, where I currently reside. And that practice was integrated, meaning it had an MD. So the MD did all the intake. He had an emergency room medicine experience. So he was a full-time doctor in the practice. So then what did I do? I went out into the streets. I was taking attorneys to lunch, meeting all the MRI reps, going in all the urgent cares, talking to other doctors that may or may not do medical legal cases. So I was the boots on the ground, marketing for PI for 15 years at the time. I also got into the med spa business. I bought a few lasers, started doing laser hair removal, created a whole new enterprise. I sold everything in around 2015, 2016. I just got out of business. I sold everything and took some time off. And then I got recruited and hired by one of the largest spinal surgeons in the state of Georgia, with multiple marketing liaisons in the field and 2 surgical centers, his own jet to fly from Atlanta to Savannah. And I was hired to Well, he hired me because he knew I had a lot of relationships. I was a chiropractor, and he knew that I was in this space, and he wanted me to help. The goal was to bring in 200 new PI patients in a month. That was the goal. And for him to do 30 spinal surgeries in a month. He had never done that before. Well-established practice. I'm not saying that I got in there and everything changed, but they just needed a spark and a bump. So in my 11 months there, we did 200 new PI patients in a month, twice in my tenure. And he was able to perform 30 spinal surgeries twice in 2 months. He'd never done that before. 24 was his record. Well, after 11 months, I resigned. I just quit. I resigned. First of all, I don't like being an employee. So that was one of the reasons. But the other reason was, if I can grow my own personal injury business as a chiropractor, if I can help a spinal surgeon, a fellowship trained spinal surgeon, if I can help him with these methods build or grow from where he was very successful, to just bump it up a little more, I said, I have something here. And now I want to share it with doctors all over the country. So I resigned, I took 6 months off, I created a course, I designed the step-by-step framework to get PI patients in your office. There's lots of consultants in the market that teach incredible clinical excellence. But what I found is there's a hole in the market. There were very few, if not any, instructing doctors how to get PI patients in the door. Fill your waiting room with PI patients. Just the marketing for PI. I found a little hole in the market. Okay. So that's a little bit about me. I focus on marketing for PI, not clinical excellence. I mean, we talk about all that in my program, but I stay in my lane. We want the focus of this group to be marketing for PI. So the heading or the title of this live stream today was, it's not a lack of resources, it's your lack of resourcefulness. Let me explain. Sometimes doctors feel that, oh my God, I don't have any PI patients right now. I got to throw money at the problem. Or I think I have to throw money at the problem, but I don't have any money, or I don't have enough money in my budget to do what I want to do as far as marketing, right? So that's a lack of resources, but that's not the problem. Maybe it's your lack of resourcefulness, right? So let's say you don't have the money. Find the money. Ask family members. Try to get a loan from a bank. I don't recommend borrowing money from friends. Things get awkward there. But be more resourceful. Ask other business owners if they'll invest in you and you pay them back. Like, what can you do to be resourceful if you don't have the resources? And that's where a lot of doctors fail. So let's reel this in personal injury. How can you be more resourceful if you don't have the resources to buy 10 billboards in your city, or spend $15,000 a month in Google pay-per-click ads? Why would I need to spend that much money in Google pay-per-click ads? Well, I'll tell you why. And a lot of agencies don't tell you this. When you buy pay-per-click ads and you want to be relevant or come up in the ad for the search term car accident doctor near me, here in Atlanta today, that's $60 a click. $60 a click. So if you want 10 clicks a day, that's $600 a day. Extrapolate that over 30 days in a month. That's $18,000 a month to be just for 10 clicks a day for PI. And a click is not a call to your office. It's not an email. It's not they're not using your chat feature or filling out your little contact form on your website. It's just a click. And that $60 is right out the door. And it's a red ocean, meaning attorneys are bidding on that doctor keyword too. So now you're competing not only with doctors, now you're competing with attorneys. Okay. So it's not your lack of resources. Like, you don't even need those resources for Google pay-per-click. It's your lack of being resourceful. So let me tell you what I mean by that, being resourceful. We have to innovate in our practice. So if you can see what I wrote here, this is a quote by Bob Iger. He was the former CEO of Disney. Innovate or die. Explain that in a second. And then here's a quote from Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker was a self-made billionaire hedge fund manager. I say self-made, he didn't have it handed to him through a trust fund from his parents, whatever. He said business is two things, innovation and marketing. You notice a couple of words here that are the same, innovation. So let's go back to your lack of being resourceful. And I'm going to hammer on one of these pillars in these live streams. And those three pillars are Hiring a marketing liaison is one of those pillars, so that while you're taking care of your patients in the clinic, you have somebody representing you, your brand, and your practice in the field. The second pillar is using your social media. All these attorneys are hanging out on this phone, and they're in the palm of your hand. Thousands of them are right here, right? Yeah, I know they're in the market, but they're actually right here. Okay, and the other pillar, I'm gonna go back to this, the other pillar is your communications with the attorneys. What are their pain points? If you just talk to the attorneys about, well, we have an X-ray in the office, we do TBI protocol, we have this service, this modality, this service, we also have this service, this service. Who cares? They don't care. They want to know, can you give me certain things in the documentation, in your bill, in your notes that provide me value drivers to get a good settlement, to get you paid at 100% and to get this patient better and to get them paid as well, right? So your communications, what are the attorney's pain points? What pisses them off when they see notes from a doctor? What kind of notes from a doctor do they love to see that really helps them? What are their pain points? So those are the three pillars I'm going to hammer on in these live streams. Getting you to hire, and I'm going to help you hire, train, coach, optimize, and track a marketing liaison in the field. I'm going to help you innovating a new way to market with this, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And then the third thing is your communication with attorneys. Okay. I'm going to just basically 80% of the conversation is, do they like you? Is this somebody I can trust with my client? Is this person a family man or a family woman? Do they go to church? Do they go to temple? Do they have children? Do they not have children? Are their children into sports? Are they into music? Like, what is it about you that's going to get them to like you and trust you? Okay, that's what they're really trying to figure out. And that's probably what you're trying to figure out in 80% of your meetings with these attorneys. Okay, the other 20% is addressing their pain points and be a better communicator so you can help their client, help them, and help you get paid. Okay, so let me talk about this innovation. And if you don't have a lack of, if you have a lack of resources, that's not the problem. It's your lack of being resourceful. So when I tell you that all the attorneys are right here on your phone or on your computer that you're watching me on, they're on Facebook, they're on LinkedIn. They look at this phone and they look at social media every day. Some of these attorneys are glued to their phone 5 or 6 hours a day. 3 of those hours is actually work, helping their clients, dealing with staff. But the other half or other percentage of the time is distractions on social media. So to innovate how we can get in front of attorneys is not sending them emails. That's not innovative, that's old. That technology is overused and doesn't work. Business emails now have a 10 to 15% open rate. Okay, the innovation is sending attorneys direct messages on Facebook and LinkedIn, because those have an 85% open rate compared to 10 to 15% with email. So are you going to continue to do things that don't work? Or are you going to innovate something that has a higher chance of you getting a PI patient? Well, I hope it's a rhetorical question. Okay, so you can send out friend requests to attorneys on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and get in conversations with them, right? Ask them questions about their firm. Are they soft tissue, or do they focus on catastrophic injuries? Do they take cases to trial, or do they farm their clients out that need to go to trial to a trial attorney? Do they have a marketing liaison? Like, these are questions that help you build rapport until you ask them for a date, like a lunch or a Zoom call, because that's what the pandemic did for these attorneys. It taught them how to Zoom. Zoom was a big innovation. I mean, not really, I think Skype was the innovation, but everyone now has moved to Zoom because it's more feature friendly and user friendly. Okay, so now you can use that innovation that became so popular. It really exploded in 2000 when the country, in 2020, I'm sorry, when the country got shut down. It taught these attorneys how to do Zoom depositions, Zoom court, Zoom trials. Let's leverage that. And let's see if we can get them on a Zoom call. So again, not a lack of resources. You don't have to spend money to reach it. You already have social media. It doesn't cost you anything to reach out to a bunch of attorneys on social media, get in conversations and ask them for dates. And that date should be a Zoom call. Because if you want to go faster, lunch is only once a day. But how many Zoom calls could you do in a day if you have the time? The correct answer is more than one. So this can accelerate your relationships with the people that can send you cases. If you know how to lead them down the funnel and ask them for the date right here, right? You got to reach out, ask some questions, build rapport. You open to hopping on a Zoom call this week with me? I'd like to learn more about your firm. That's how you do it. I mean, you can do that to hundreds of attorneys a day. You can't eat hundreds of lunches a week. I'm sorry, hundreds of attorneys a week. You can't eat hundreds of lunches in a week, but you can try to get them on Zoom calls and get dates like that, right? You understand what I mean by dates, right? A Zoom call, a meeting, a tour of their law firm, a tour of your office, a coffee, bagels, donut, just get a date, get some FaceTime, not Apple FaceTime, but face-to-face time, okay? So in social media, when I teach my private members, we market daily. We don't take spastic actions. There's this marketer, he passed away, he was going to be Tony Robbins' partner. His name was Chet Holmes. He talks about pig-headed discipline as being the opposite of taking spastic actions. Spastic actions are like when desperate people, I got to do something, I'll just take action today. But in my program, we're going to leverage what's called the compound effect. The compound effect says small daily marketing actions done consistently lead to big results down the road. So if you know what those small marketing, innovative marketing actions are, and you do them on a daily basis, it doesn't cost you anything. It's just, the cost is just you being more resourceful. So a little bit of time, some sweat equity. So there is a cost, but it's not a monetary cost. It's a time commitment. And that time is 30 minutes a day for the growth of your practice. That's all it takes. 30 minutes a day to reach out to a certain amount of attorneys on social media. They're all hanging out right here, waiting to talk to you, because these attorneys, and let me tell you this, if you're a solo practitioner, whether you're a medical doctor or chiropractor, and you're taking attorneys to lunch, it's just you taking attorneys to lunch with probably within a 20-mile radius of your office. But the innovation of sending direct messages to attorneys is that you can communicate with attorneys hundreds of miles away from your practice. Well, Mark, why do I want to contact an attorney 100 miles away from my practice? That doesn't make any sense. It makes total sense in 2022 because we're in a digital society. These attorneys are signing up clients with a DocuSign contract that they're emailing them or texting them on their phone. And at settlement time, they're mailing a check. So these attorneys are marketing let's take the state of Florida, for example. They're marketing all over the state of Florida. The Tallahassee attorneys up in the north part of Florida, the capital, they're marketing all the way down to Dade County, Miami and the Keys, right? So somebody, if you're a practicing doctor, let's say in Fort Lauderdale, the power of social media and direct messaging is you can contact an attorney that lives or that has an office in Tallahassee, get in a conversation with him and say, hey, if you need a trusted resource with a doctor that focuses on personal injury in Fort Lauderdale, I want to be your guy. You would never have lunch with that person in Tallahassee if you lived in Fort Lauderdale, unless you have the power of technology. So I hope that kind of resonates with you. It doesn't matter where the attorneys are. It just matters where you are. And it matters where the patient lives, because the patient is not going to drive more than probably no more than 30 minutes, 3 or 4 times a week to go get a chiropractic adjustment for their injuries. They might, but it's highly unlikely. So all these attorneys all over your state need to know who the doctors are that focus on personal injury in your town or your city or your suburb. They're not going to leave it up to the patient to pick a doctor. Because what if the patient walks into the Joint Chiropractic? The Joint is a great company, but they don't do personal injury. Okay. So the attorneys are going to steer their clients to doctors that focus on this kind of work, and you got to get on their map. Okay. So sending messages through social media is powerful, and it works, and you can reach, I'm going to say it, thousands of more attorneys than you can if you didn't have it. Yes, thousands. If you go to avvo.com, it's a website that I talk about in my program, avvo.com, avvo.com. It's a paid website for attorneys. And you can go in there and it says specialty, and you can type in personal injury and then city and hit send. And it'll show you how many attorneys are practicing in personal injury in your city on this paid website, because you have to pay to be on it. So there's probably more personal injury attorneys that are on this website. They're just not paying to be on it. The number for most major metropolitan cities and even smaller metropolitan cities, the number's in the thousands. In the city, not talking about the state. The average chiropractic office, or not average, but the boutique offices have 200 to 400 active injury cases going on at one time. The big law firms with multiple attorneys and billboards, they have 3,000 to 4,000 active injury cases going on at one time. So there is a lot of work out there. And if you're not getting it, I'm going to say it, it's your fault, because you are not being resourceful. It's not a lack of resources. Well, I don't have money to do Facebook ads and Google pay-per-click ads and a radio ad or a TV ad. Dude, the average person has 4 car accidents over the course of a lifetime. That's once every 18 years. It's like finding a needle in the haystack. So let's let the attorneys spend 6 figures a month, millions of dollars a year. Let's let them pay all the money to get the clients. But they don't have a case unless there's medical bills, notes, documented injuries, and a bill. And an attorney can't do that. So they have to send these clients somewhere. And if they're not sending to you, again, it's your fault because you're not being resourceful. You just need a plan. I've already figured it out. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just need to innovate, swim in blue oceans. What I wanted to say, I wanted to tell you to, you buck the status quo, right? The status quo is you just have to take attorneys to lunch, do some email marketing, send them mailers. Like that's kind of the status quo, right? But let's innovate and use the power of technology because they're doing it. As doctors, let's harness that power as well, right? Let's innovate a new way to market for personal injury. And the beauty of it is in social media, you already have most likely a Facebook account, a LinkedIn account, an Instagram account. You don't have to pay for it. You just have to know how to use it effectively to bring your PI patients. And the best way to do that is to get in conversations with the people that have all these PI patients, the PI attorneys. And they're sitting there on LinkedIn and Facebook, direct message them, right? These attorneys get 200 emails a day. How many direct messages do they get on Facebook or LinkedIn? I'm gonna go high and say 5 a day tops. So they're guaranteed to see your message, right? It's not filtered by layers of people in front of them. You send a business email to an attorney, your assistant's going to see it first, a staff member is going to see it first, they may pass it on to the attorney, or they just may delete it. Cold calling law firms, it's not 1997. Cold calling doesn't work because they have staff that are answering the phone. I mean, I have appointments with attorneys, and when I call them, I get stonewalled. And I'm actually on their books for an appointment. But when you reach out on social media, they're going to see your message. Okay? Doesn't mean that they're going to respond. But here's the good news. We're doing so many of these. My private members are doing so many of these on a daily and weekly basis. You don't need everybody. You just need some. Let me say that again. You don't need every single attorney you reach out to on direct message to respond. You just need some, right? That's why we don't just do 5 a day. No. 2 things I hammer on in the program: massive numbers. It's a numbers game. Massive numbers and consistency. That's going to help you grow your PI practice. Massive numbers and consistency. Now, if you had to rely on that and paid advertising, like, if you pay Google pay-per-click, a lot of people are going to see your ad and a lot of people are going to click on it, but it is very expensive. Even on Facebook, if you want 5,000 impressions in a day, it's going to be $100 a day. No big deal, but that's $3,000 a month. And if you get one PI patient, that's great. You broke even. It's not so great. If you got two, you had an ROI. But why do all that work for 2 PI patients? Let's do some things, take some actions on direct messaging that give exponential or asymmetric results. Like do a little bit of work to get a lot of results. That's what this innovative strategy is. Innovation is sending direct messages to the people that can send you cases. And you can do that on a massive scale. Get meetings, Zoom calls, lunches. Again, try to get Zoom calls with attorneys. They know how to Zoom. You can do it from the comfort of your home or comfort of your office. You don't have to drive 30 minutes to lunch. Have an hour lunch. Maybe it's a total disaster and you got to drive 30 minutes back. That's 2 hours of wasted productivity. But a 15-minute Zoom call, if that's a total disaster, it's an hour and 45 minutes less of a disaster for you. Okay. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. It's not a lack of resources. You don't have to throw money and pay for all this expensive advertising, and a lot of it underperforms. But if you're resourceful and you use the power of social media and reached out to attorneys, doctors, MRI reps, urgent care places, get in conversations with those people, let them know you focus on PI, man, your practice is going to grow, and it's going to grow faster than you've ever seen it, because we can expedite the amount of people, lawyers more specifically, that we can get in front of with the power of social media. You just have to know how to harness it and use it. And then one final thing about this teaching about this is when you get into these conversations, you kind of have to walk them down a funnel, right? And at the bottom of the funnel is when you ask for the date. Let me give you an example. I tell my private clients that I want you to treat this like internet dating. Okay. Expert at internet dating, met my wife on match.com, but she wouldn't have gone out with me if, like, right after I sent her a friend request, or I don't know, it was a long time ago, whatever the process was. If I had come right out of the gate saying, meet me for coffee, let's go to dinner, let's go to lunch. That's not how it works. That's not how people converse online. Let's ask them questions. For instance, with my current wife, who I met on match.com, what area of the town do you live in? Where'd you go to college? What do you do for work? Like, build rapport. Yeah. What do you like to do for fun? Right? Once you build some rapport, you see how you're just walking them down a funnel. And at the appropriate time, you say, hey, would you like to meet for coffee next week? You want to meet for, maybe lunch? Right down here closer to the bottom of the funnel. That's where you ask for the date. So if you learn these skills, know what to say to get their attention, the questions to ask to lead them down the funnel, and then ask for the date here, and you do this on a daily basis, massive numbers of consistency, that's what's going to grow your PI practice. But you got to take action. I love sharing this knowledge with you every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern, but knowledge is not power. I know you've heard that before. Knowledge is not power. It's not. You sit through this video, you like what I say, maybe I'm entertaining, you like my giant 5-head, 4-head, whatever, but knowledge, after we end this live stream, big deal. Knowledge plus action, that's real power. You got to take action. So if you're interested in using this pillar that I talk about, this innovative strategy of using direct messages to get the attention of attorneys, get in conversations, develop relationships, and get their clients, type 15 in the chat below, and I'll reach out to you to schedule a 15-minute phone call, and I can get information about your business, where you are today in your current personal injury practice. What are you doing to get patients? What's your goal? Where do you want to be? How much money do you want to make? How many PI patients do you want a month? And then I'll share with you the program, the step-by-step process, both online, with this innovative social media through direct messaging, and hiring a marketing liaison and teaching you how to communicate with these attorneys to address their pain points. Man, you're going to be a strong marketer, and you're going to be a trusted resource for attorneys and other doctors in your city, but you got to take action. So type 15 in the comments below, and I'll reach out to you. I'll send you a link. We can hop on a 15-minute call. It's free. I mean, I'm just going to ask you some questions. And after that 15-minute call, if you want to move into a Zoom call where I show you the program, we go even a little deeper, we can do that as well. Okay. Okay. So imagine you doing this innovative idea of sending out messages to attorneys. Let's just be conservative and say it's 10 a day. That's 300 new friends you're going to try to make on Facebook and or LinkedIn. 300. Of those 300, if half of them, just say half, get in conversations with you, that's 150. If 75 of them agree to do a Zoom call, that's probably more numbers than you've done in a year, right? And by the way, we do more than 10. I'm just talking if you do this conservatively, right? So imagine you do that for 30 days, for 60 days, for 90 days. And by the way, it's being resourceful because it costs you this much money, $0.00 per day, per month, per year. It's just you taking some time to be resourceful. Imagine sending out 300 a month, 600 in 2 months, 900. And by the way, we do more than that in 3 months. And of those 900, just, I don't know, 10 of them send you 2 clients in that 90 days. These are really low numbers. That's 20 PI patients, conservatively at $3,000 average case fee, $60,000 in 90 days. If you're in a PIP state, you can get that money pretty quickly. If you're in a lien state, it's going to take some time. But hey, if you're here, you understand this is not an immediate gratification business. This is a delayed gratification business. I'm in Georgia. The work that's done today, the doctors are not going to get paid for 6 months to 2 years down the road. But they build up an accounts receivable of their practice, which is an asset that they can sell, right? So it's not just, oh, I did a bill, I'm not getting paid, this sucks. No, you got to, after a year or two, you can have, a 6-figure, maybe even a 7-figure $1 million accounts receivable of personal injury cases. And depending on what specialty you are, you can sell that to a funding company and they'll pay you 35 cents on the dollar in 48 hours. Turn that into cash. Right? So PEI is a great way to practice, but you got to take daily action. My clients that are doing the work, treating it like a boot camp sounds too harsh because doesn't sound very fun. But what I'm saying is no days off. They take it, they're serious about growing their business, and I'm here to help them. So if you like what I've had to say and this looks interesting to you, I can show you the step-by-step process. Just type 15 in the comments below and let's hop on a call. I'll send you my scheduling link. We'll hop on a 15-minute call and we'll see if we can work together. If you're open or interested in doing that, in working and being a doctor in my program, going from 9 PI patients in a month to 50 2 months later. 50 new PI patients 2 months later. A doctor in my program has done that, and he wasn't in a big city like Miami, Cleveland, Dallas, LA. This guy's in Lafayette, Louisiana. Right? My doctor in Jacksonville, Florida was getting 10 to 15 a month. Now he routinely gets 25 to 30 consistently because he consistently does the work, the social media work. He's innovative and he takes massive action daily. All right. So I want to thank everyone for attending today's live stream. I hope you enjoyed the content. Type 15 below in the comment section if you'd like to schedule a time with me. And then I'm just going to type out, if you want to replay, I'm happy to give you a replay of this as well. So I want to thank everyone for attending today's live stream. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to be here every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern, live in this Facebook group with a topic to help you just be better at your marketing. You don't have to be overwhelmed by it. When you break it into small chunks like I do for you, you'll take these little chunks of actions and you're going to be consistent and you're going to grow your PI practice. Okay. All right. I'm Mark Slater. Thanks for attending. I'm with Prime Spine Consulting. Thank you for attending this live stream. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.